just kind of talk your portfolio, where it is today. So you guys are focused on the Anadarko Basin, right? The Scoop, Stack, and Merge, the Midland and Delaware basins, and you're also looking at the Eagle Ford, correct? Can you talk about kind of how many deals have you done, the size of your portfolio in terms of net royalty acres? How many deals are you looking at a year? What are the things you look at in deals that, and I guess some of the partnerships you've had. So if you've raised 1.7 billion, and you built a sizable portfolio and deployed most of that capital you've raised, you're putting the money to work effectively, and you're doing it in a sophisticated way. You're not just throwing money at stuff, right? How are you doing that? How are you getting that money to work? Because it sounds like you, from our past conversations, you do a lot of stuff organically. You're not doing brokered packages. You're not buying companies, or at least you haven't yet. And to put that amount of money to work, when you think of a kitchen table deal, it could be as low as $10,000 to $50,000, right? So how are you leveraging partnerships and resources and your team to get deals done and build a portfolio?
Yeah. So what we've done is we have gone out and partnered with local teams in those areas in order for us to be able to see the kind of deal flow and transact on the types of transactions that we want to do. We felt that local teams had an advantage and knew the community, knew the players well, because the mineral space is a lot about trust and relationship. Um, Buying and selling minerals has become more mainstream, and it's happening more and more, I think, as we've seen the space grow. But there's a huge trust component. It's not like buying or selling stocks, where there's a lot of mechanisms at your disposal, and people feel really comfortable with the process through a variety of avenues. And this really comes down to, like you said, somebody coming in to somebody's home or over the phone, and sitting down at their kitchen table and working a deal. And a lot of times folks have inherited these things. These aren't things that they went out and bought necessarily as an investment. And so there's a strong tie there. And so that's why we felt it was really important to have local teams embedded in those areas where we wanted to go buy minerals. And so we formed several relationships with different teams in the different areas, outlined areas for them to go out and prosecute our business and make offers and see what we can get done. And we've had a bit of success of that. We've done over 1,000 transactions, so we've accumulated almost 130,000 net royalty acres between the two entities and between the two basins. And it's been good, but it's also had a lot of challenges. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like that just because we had a great partner, a capital partner, we had this technical know-how, that we were able to go out and buy whatever we wanted. We weren't. Our hit rate is sub 10%. In fact, I think right now our hit rate is somewhere around 8%. So that's a lot of deals that we see and evaluate and take a look at that we're just not getting done. And there's a lot of competition out there, but there's also a lot of times that sellers change their mind. I mean, they get to the final stage, and like I said, because it's an emotional decision, there's a lot of trust involved. You do get a lot of owners that at the last minute just say, "Yeah, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm going to hang on to it a little bit longer." I think also mineral owners don't have the same tool set at their disposal that like we do here. For instance, we've talked about the relationship between Four Point and Longpoint. And so sometimes too, you get mineral owners that just because you're a larger company coming in and making them an offer, they automatically assume that you must know something that they don't know, and that they should hold on to them because they might be missing something in the future. So there's several hurdles that we've tried to get over. We try to educate owners as much as we can. We're very transparent in the offers that we make. We oftentimes will walk them through why we came up with the value that we did, and just try to build that relationship with them that we can. But I think what really helps is having those local teams, because that first impression of having somebody that's embedded in those communities where we're buying is critical. And then we continue to do things in those communities as well. We try to be good community partners. We really strive for folks to come away with things in a win-win kind of feel. We want them to feel like they made a good transaction. We're happy with the minerals, and we're not going anywhere. Again, I think kind of having this long-term view and being out there, we can't just go out and scalp people and then you know, you move on to the next person. The communities are too small. You can't fleece anybody and assume that you're going to be able to continue to do business, because mineral owners talk, and they're very in tune with who does good deals, who has good reputations, who does what they say they're going to do, who can show up with the money and get things done. And it's important to us. And we really work on reputation. We really work on being good community partners. And I think that's helped us, certainly. In terms of deal size, you mentioned, deals at the kitchen table and things that we've done. So, that 1,000+ transactions we've done has really covered the gamut. I often get asked the question, what's your average deal size? And there really isn't an average size. We'll do everything down to a single acre, and have done things down to a single acre, all the way up to things that are hundreds of millions of dollars. And we think that's really how you have to approach this business. There's just too much out there that's highly fragmented, that's small, that if you eliminate that part of the market, if you say, well, I'm only going to look at packages over a certain size, I think there's just too much that you leave on the table that you don't capture. Plus, a lot of these deals turn into larger deals. Again, that whole concept around relationship and tight-knit communities. If you do a good deal with somebody, a lot of times you will get their brother, their sister, their cousin, their neighbor, all coming to the table as well. So, doing a single transaction that might not look big at first, all of a sudden you get 4 or 5 other either family members or relatives or neighbors or whatever coming in with them. And all of a sudden now it's turned into something of pretty good size. And so we're just not willing to turn a blind eye due to size. We really look at everything.
No, that's good to know, and I'm sure a lot of people in the industry who don't have a direct line to you or relationship with you, that's helpful to know, right? For bringing deals in the future. So, Will, I wanna thank you for your time. I really enjoyed it, and I think your insights will be greatly uh, helpful and insightful for a lot of investors and a lot of companies out there in the industry. So I appreciate you sharing. I'll give you the floor to close out. I always like to give people the opportunity for a message to both their peers in the industry and also the investment community. Could be on behalf of Longpoint Minerals. It can kind of be a public service announcement about the space itself, some trends you're seeing, some misconceptions that you find yourself saying over and over again to investors that you just want to reiterate. The floor is yours, just to wrap it up, and then we'll part ways.
Yeah, no, thanks, Tim. This has been a lot of fun. I don't know if I have necessarily a community service message, but I think certainly investors need to take a pretty solid look at the space. I think I hear a lot of times it's a defensive way to play the oil and gas and energy space. I think that's very true. It is a defensive way to play the space, and certainly, there are no capex risks, there are no opex risks, there's no environmental risks. So, mineral owners are not on the hook for environmental liability. So those things are all very attractive. But I think one of the points that you touched on earlier is something very key that investors need to keep in mind, which is the mineral space only works as long as the E&P space is working as well. And so it's worth doing your homework to understand, if you're going to be an investor in minerals, where that mineral company or management team is out buying, who they're buying under, and really what that picture looks like. Because like I said, it doesn't have a lot of the risks that you would normally associate with oil and gas around, being such a capital intensive business. But you also want to make sure that your money just isn't sitting there in the ground on something that's not going to be developed. So it's worth taking a look at. And I think we've really tried to address that, and we've really tried to bring our expertise to bear in order to make investments that are under operators and in areas that will continue to get developed. And if people want to find out more about us, happy to reach out. They can get us through our website, which is just longpointminerals.com, and happy to continue the conversation if anyone's interested.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, my friend, for the time. It's always a pleasure, and look forward to seeing you soon, whether it's just when you're passing through Houston or one of our dinners with Scott or one of the events later this year.
No, it sounds great. Thank you very much, Tim.
Thanks, Will. Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed. If you're interested in meeting Will or any of the other executives in our network, then I encourage you to join us at our upcoming Northam Royalties Assembly in Houston and our private oil and gas investment assembly at the New York Stock Exchange. For more information on these events, please email me at tim.powell, that's P-A-W-U-L, at oilcouncil.com, or visit our website at www.oilcouncil.com. Thanks, and see you next time.